All right, Kim, as I mentioned, we've got the full Markéta Vondroušová anti-doping decision from the ITIA, and it was not great, Kim.
No, it wasn't.
It was not great. We knew that it was likely not looking good for Markéta Vondroušová, who has the chance to appeal this decision. There's a deadline on August 11th where she has to decide to appeal to CAS to try to get her 4-year suspension as it stands reduced. But based on what we read in this decision, I mean, I would not say that it's looking great for her. I sent you, Kim, a little snippet when the decision first came out, but I think the biggest takeaways, I'm curious if you agree, was that neither she nor her agent knew that players could be tested outside their designated whereabouts window. And also the report revealed sort of surprisingly cavalier texts while this anti-doping officer was at her door as she was deciding whether or not she was actually going to participate in this text that indicated that she did not feel maybe in danger, as she said was potentially the case. That was part of her defense, and also indicated that she knew that she was talking to someone from anti-doping. And we know this from one specific text she sent to her boyfriend where she said, it's some bleep from the doping. So she appeared to, in fact, know that she was speaking to a DCO who, by the way, we also found out in the report, Kim, was an 11-year veteran. This is not her first rodeo. They said she did like 15 tests a day. She trains new doping officers. So just a tough look.
It is, but I still, to this day, you know, when you talk and what you hear about it on tour is that almost nobody knew about that this rule was in place. And to me, that's where I feel like, you know, maybe the ITIA is in fault a little bit there as well for the players not knowing who is in fault. Is it ITF? Is it WTA? Is it ATP? Is it the local federations that need to be a little bit more involved so that the players actually know that this wasn't something that was illegal? And I still think, you know, I don't think it was about not wanting to do the thing. I think it just felt more like this isn't right. Like, you shouldn't be here. Like, my time slot is, you know, whatever it was, 6 to 7 or 5 to 6 in the morning. Like, and this is when you're supposed to show up. So, you know, I think at some point they talked about like a teachable moment for all the players and their teams. But then I'm like, okay, but let it also be a teachable moment for the ITIA and say, okay, we need to maybe communicate better to the players and to the staff and to everybody around it. And it's, you know, I mean, going back to maybe Maria's case back in the day, right? Like, she was taking a supplement for her, whatever it was, asthma at the time. And then it from 1 month to the other ended up being on the anti-doping list. And it wasn't in November. And then when she started playing in January, it was on the doping list. And so if you're not informed, you know, and it's very easy when these rules change because you don't really stay involved in that kind of stuff, right? So I think it's, I think it would be very, very sad if she will miss, or if she's going to be used as an example, or that her career is going to be used as an example, or her situation. And it will have such a huge impact on her career, because what is that then? 2030? That she will be
June 2030. She will be almost 31 years old, and that is a long time.
It's insane. And just try to think about, like, okay, for 4 years, like, what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, you practicing for 4 years just to wait, you know, to keep yourself motivated, and that's almost impossible, because as you know, a top player, that's what you crave is the matches, is the competitiveness, right? So it's a very tough thing to to think about and to try to balance, and so I'm kind of hoping still that there may be a little bit of a reduction somewhat, because I really don't think she deserves the full 4 years.
Yeah, to your point about the communication and it also being a teachable moment for the ITIA sent out, I think it was like a 3-page explainer about this case to players, their teams, I assume anyone who is involved in this space, to explain exactly why the decision was the way that it was, to explain exactly what the rules are. But I mean, great point. Is that too little, too late? But also, you think, I was looking up who Markéta Vondroušova's agency was. She's with Octagon. That is not some boutique hole in the wall
No.
agency that is representing one tennis player. This is an experienced agency. And I think back, I thought it was so apt for you to mention the Sharapova case, because Max Eisenbud, one of the most successful and well-known agents, certainly tennis agents probably in the world, he actually took the blame for that, for not looking at that list of medications or substances that were added to the banned list. So I think it's a question too for players, like how much faith are you putting in the agents? And I know some amazing agents. This isn't a shot at agents by any means, but I think that's a question you have to ask yourself too.
Right, but maybe there needs to be somewhat of a, I don't know, a prevention kind of date, or let's say during the US Open. I know a lot of players don't want to go into another meeting room and they don't want to, but at least have some informative kind of, hey, these are the rules that are going to be changing, or this is what's being added, or yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised about the lack of knowledge from the players and the teams about. I mean, I didn't know, and it's not that I'm still that involved in it, but even like most of the current players didn't know. So it's yeah, there's lack of communication somewhere, and I think that needs to be looked at even more, because otherwise we're going to keep having situations like this, and maybe not exactly the same, but we're going to have more players that are still filling out their time slots and being home, being aware of the time slots and still messing up. So I think there can be things can be done better on both sides, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely have to take initiative. And the ITIA, again, I think they have done a good job. Like, we know they have reached out to us. They have reached out to players. I know a couple years ago at the Australian Open, they did have an open meeting for anyone who wanted to come at the Australian Open. I know that our friend Chris Eubanks was there. And if I remember correctly, he might have been the only active player. So I do think this will be a wake-up call. And I think, I feel terrible for Markéta Vondroušová, but on the flip side, I hope that everybody else will be paying attention.